Hi there, in this video we're going to look at querying Pandas data frames, and we're going to quickly show this in a short video using some football data. So the data you can get from 𝗦cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗶, and it's a soccer data set. And what I'm doing here is I am importing pandas as PD, and then I'm using the pandas.read_csv function. You can pass that a local file system endpoint, but you can also pass it a URL on the internet, as I'm doing here, and that will fetch the data and convert the CSV file to a pandas data frame. So that's what we've got here, and you can see that this represents all of the results from the 2019-2020 season in the English Premier League. And we have the first game of the season being Liverpool versus Norwich, which was 4-1 to Liverpool. These columns here, this represents full-time home goals and full-time away goals, and FTR is full-time result. So I've got some questions down here that we want to answer from this data set, and we're going to look at how to query the data frame in order to do that. The first one is we want to get the games where the home team scored 5 or more goals. So this column here has the number of home goals scored over the 90 minutes. So we can use our data frame and we can query into that by creating what's called a mask. Full-time home goals is greater than or equal to 5. So we create the mask of true and false values, and we pass that to the data frame as a way to index into it. And we get back the 4 rows in this case where the teams have scored 5 or more goals. And you can see that 3 games have ended with 5 goals. One game ended 8-0 to Manchester City. So if I change the greater than or equals to greater than, you see that we get one result, and there's only one game where the home team scored more than 5 goals, and that's Man City against Watford. And you can do the same for the full-time away goals. Did any teams win by more than 5 goals away from home in this season? One game did, and that was when Leicester beat Southampton by 9 goals to 0. So there's an alternative way we can do this query. Data frames have a method called query, and we can specify that we want the column name, which will be full-time away goals, to be greater than 5. So this is more of an SQL-like syntax. If you do that operation, you get the same result as we got when we used the mask. Just an alternative way to do querying, you use the .query method. This is for the home goals, and we can do the same for the away goals here. That's the answer to the second question, and it should be greater than or equal. So now we want to answer the question, how many draws were there? Now what we want to do for this is we want to look at the full-time result column, and we want to enumerate how many draws there were. And we can do this in a couple of different ways. So first of all, we can create another mask where we say, give me all the games where the full-time result was equal to a draw. That will create a true and false Boolean mask, which we can then use to index into the data frame. And if we do that, we can then get the shape of the data frame. This gives us all the games that were a draw, and you see that you've got 50 rows, 50 games were a draw. And if you look at the actual data frame being returned, you should see that all the values in that column have the D for draw. So that's one way of doing it. We use the mask, and we can then take the shape, and the first part of the tuple that's returned is the number of rows. That means the number of games that were a draw. Another way to do this is just to use the Boolean mask itself. Now we have true and false values. In Python, false is 0 and true evaluates to 1, so we can actually call .sum on these and we get back 50. So that's just an alternative way to do that. And the final rather boring question is, who refereed the most games? We've got a column here for the referee, and we want to find out who was involved in the most games over this season. So we can query the referee column using that syntax there, and then we simply use the pandas value counts method, and that will give us, from the highest value first, the number of values in that column. And we've got Atkinson with 18, don't remember his first name, Taylor 17, I believe it's Mike Dean with 16, and so on. So the value counts method allows you to query how many values occur in a particular column. That wraps up this video. I think the main thing to take away from this is that you can query using the dataframe.query method, but you can also use indexes and Boolean masks to query into the data frame. There are many ways to do this. This was designed to be a short video. There will be more videos on Pandas coming up. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and we will see you in a future video.